I wanted to go ahead and start this bad boy off by just saying thank you to everybody. I truly appreciate the support over this past year and a half of operating the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse. We've definitely had some great individuals on, and as it stands today, we're following suit. I've been working with CL Services for years. I first started working with them back in 2018. And now I welcome them to the stage as Prosponsive Logistics. And I'm just very, very excited to have you on, Jeff. How you been, brother?
I've been doing good. So, working with you and, the transportation business, I mean, it's just going crazy.
Yes, sir.
So it's been, while we've had a pandemic, it has still been a fun 2 years.
I agree. And I feel like supply chain is getting the attention and the credit that it deserves. So that is very exciting. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, I can tell you that I don't feel like a used Kirby vacuum cleaner salesman anymore.
A door-to-door salesman, huh?
Yeah.
Jay, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great, Jory. Thank you very much.
Definitely. So again, everybody, welcome so much to the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse. We've been running this bad boy every single Wednesday for the last basically year and a half. And then last Wednesday was the first Wednesday I didn't do this ever. And it was because I had a great time at Modex that took place here in the Atlanta area. But I ended up getting COVID, man. It sucked, but I'm back at it.
No.
Yeah, I did, man. I made some great connections at Modex. I actually even saw your team there. We were waiting in line together essentially because there was a huge bottleneck on that first day of registering. But anyways, I had a great time, so I'm happy to be back. Interviewing some great people here on the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse. So without further ado, Jeff, Jay, look, I know who you guys are, but I would love it if, you can do a brief introduction of yourself. Jeff, let's start with you because you founded this organization some 25 years ago. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Okay. Well, my name's Jeff Lance. I've been in the transportation and brokerage industry now for almost 35 years, I think. Started out back in 1987 with C.H. Robinson. Got my education from the School of C.H. Robinson. Hung with those guys for almost 9 years, and then ventured off to start a brokerage for KLLM Transport.
Wow.
And after that, went to Turbo Transport and met my business partner, Russ Caudell. And he and I formulated CL Services. And today, almost 26 years later, we're at 25 and a half, I guess. We're still kicking and growing. We recruited Jay Matthews, who thank God he took a chance on us because he has been a blessing to our organization.
Yes.
I'll let him tell his story, but man, he has been a very dynamic individual to have on board here at this company.
Yes, sir. So look, I'm definitely going to come back and talk to you some about your background, Jeff. But I did want to go ahead and pass the mic over to Jay. Please, sir, if you could give us a little bit about your background.
Certainly. And thank you, Jeff, for that. What an introduction. Wow. So, Jory, I'm a CPA by trade, actually. I got my accounting degree and worked in various finance roles, both in banking and in private industry and in manufacturing, and had been in manufacturing for a number of years when the company I was working for, which was in the food manufacturing business, got bought out. And I was the CFO of the company and got basically waylaid through that acquisition looking for a job and landed at a transportation logistics company, a 3PL, called Scott Logistics, which is based in Rome, Georgia, as their CFO. So I stumbled into transportation. I tell people I didn't know the first thing about it, honestly. The first thing I had to do was talk to a truck driver one time about a lumper. He was mad because the com check that we had issued on a lumper charge didn't work, and I had no idea what a com check was and no idea what a lumper was. So I stumbled through that conversation. But here I am 14 years later. Actually, I was 12 years with Scott Logistics, and I've been with Prosponsive Logistics. I almost said CL Services. That's a no-no around here. We're trying to
yes, sir.
get used to our new name. But I was fortunate and blessed enough to be to introduce to Russ Caudell and Jeff Lance, and you're meeting Jeff tonight, and they are two of the finest fellows that one can meet. And if anybody is blessed, it's me, because the company was ripe for tremendous growth, and together as a team, we've been able to orchestrate a strategic plan that's been amazing. And I joined a month before COVID hit, so before the pandemic hit, I should say. So it's been an interesting 2 years, but it's been a great 2 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm very pleased to have you both here on stage. And, I've worked with Scott Logistics for a very long time. So, that's very familiar to me. Back when dispatching for a corporation. That's when I met you guys as an organization, but I definitely know Scott as well. But interestingly enough, it seems like a lot of the people who have come out and created their own brokerages, their own freight brokerages, they definitely learned from the tree of C.H. Robinson. It's produced some heavy hitters out here. Would you say so?
There are. Yeah. You've got probably the most famous one of them all. Well, I don't know. I take that back. The most famous one of them all would be Alan Lund. And the Alan Lund Company and Alan Lund and his organization. Alan was really a mentor to me. I knew Alan personally. His daughter lived in Fayetteville, Georgia, and he would periodically come into Atlanta and visit his daughter. His son-in-law was he might be retired now. He was a pilot with Delta.
Okay.
So they lived in Fayetteville, and but he was a pretty big mentor to me, and Russ knew him too. But I think I probably ran into him more frequently down in Fayetteville and Peachtree City, because that's where I live. And then, Jeff Silver, I guess, probably would be
number two.
Yeah, him and Paul Loeb probably would be the two biggest hitters.
Yes, sir.
With their $billion companies, and they've done it multiple times now. So those two guys there, but they're big on the technology and the technology platforms to make this business really move fast and exciting.
Yes,
that was one of the reasons why Robinson bought them, was because of the technology that they had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that, man. That was a history lesson. But for sure, there's been a lot of bright minds in freight brokerage and logistics that have come from, C.H. Robinson back in the day. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here on stage. And while I do have you, Jeff, what prompted you to go and start your own freight brokerage? What did you want to see in the industry that you weren't seeing before?
Well, I think that, that's a really tough question. I get asked that question often. I think for me, it was just the entrepreneurial spirit, and really wanting to take a chance doing something that was a bit risky, and being able to jump out there off that ledge and take that chance. By nature, I'm a risk taker. I feel like, nothing in this world belongs to me. It's not going to go with me. And so I just feel like that, if you don't take chances in life, what have you really gained out of life? If you don't, if you don't mentor people and all of that stuff that goes along with that is just part of life. It's like, probably one of my biggest regrets was not going in the military. When I got out of college, I wanted to go in the military, but they weren't taking anybody. I even went and applied to go in the Coast Guard. But there was a freeze on the military at that point in time when I got out of college, because frankly, I was fine. I was kind of struggling to get in a job. I felt like after being at home from school for a month, I was, not going anywhere. But then Robinson called me up and asked me if I wanted to move to Atlanta, and I said, "Yeah, I'm all about it." So I jumped right on that train.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, I think that's a very, very great answer to the question, and I say that because that touched my life too, just like taking the risk. What am I going to do? What am I going to feel most satisfied about 20 years from now that, I was working for a corporation and, work my way up, or that I was able to manifest something and see it through and put all my time, energy, grit, effort, all those kind of great things and, really establish a legacy. So that's my story that you're saying. And I just pray for the same success that you've been able to see in your lifetime.
Well, I think that success really is, it's in the beginning when you start a business, you start it for really your own reasons. And when I look back on it, and I think, if I really think about my reasons were kind of selfish. And as you grow the business and you start bringing more people on board and you start having more mouths to feed, you start having more responsibility, you start having people that are having families, it really changes that whole view and that whole dynamic. So now it becomes a much greater purpose other than yourself. And you can't let it stop. You have to keep it going. So it's just something that you just can't, once you get so far down that path, you can't turn back.
Agreed. I agree with you 100%, brother. So thank you so much for mentioning that bad boy. All right. So look, now it's 2022 and, we are knee deep in what they consider the golden age of trucking. We've had some very, very, very nice rates for the trucking industry. For carriers, they've been able to experience some of the best rates ever. Now we are also having some of the most expensive diesel costs. The fuel costs are outrageous. It's kind of, the margins that were there aren't there anymore just because, just the expenses themselves. For you guys, do you feel like that we're kind of slipping out of that golden age, the rates and all that kind of stuff that you guys are getting from your customers? Do you feel like things are kind of declining, or how do you feel about that? And either one of you guys can speak to it. That right there is just, just one of those questions because, as a dispatcher, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am the owner of Atlanta Dispatch. That's kind of how I met you, met your team at the Atlanta Logistics Connection to even be here to talk right now. But I own a transportation company. I dispatch for multiple carriers. So I'm seeing these rates starting to change a bit. They're not as lovely as they've been. And, you guys being on the other side, like on the customer facing side, what do you believe is going to happen in the next few months?
Well, I'll let Jay handle the math portion of that because that's right up his alley. But I guess I'm looking for more clarity. Are you seeing the rates? You're seeing them go up, down? Which?
Well, I would say that I'm starting to see, them being a little bit tighter on the rates. So the rates are starting to decline from what I'm seeing. And I know that. And let me sprinkle a little bit more seasoning on that. I know contract rates are the highest they've been. But spot rates, I feel like, is what I'm starting to see slip a little bit. Have you guys noticed anything like that?
I would agree with that. Here in the Southeast, I think out west, from talking to our teams, the rates are still pretty high on the West Coast. But here on the East Coast, I think they are starting to fall a little bit. Capacity starting to loosen up a little bit. But out west, it's still pretty tough.
Okay. I will definitely take that. Jay, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that question?
Well, I would say I agree with Jeff, and I think we are starting to see rates fall. There's been a loosening even just this past week, which is interesting. But you mentioned fuel, and that's a big component, right? Obviously of freight rates and how that gets passed along, and that's been tricky to navigate because, to your point, it's fuel has gone up tremendously, and so fortunately for us, all we do is mitigate. Between the carrier and the shipper, we have to pass that along. We can't absorb, the increase in fuel rates. We pass it along, and ultimately, it's the consumer that pays the price, right, at the grocery store and in various retail places, right? So, but it has been really tricky, and it's been unfortunate because it's created again, margin that's got to ultimately be passed along to the consumer. So that's the only comment I would have really about that.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, yeah, I'll definitely take both of your points on that. And, I wanted to mention that that whole coin term of the golden age of trucking, 2022. And, why now when it comes to rebranding? Like, what are you guys wanting to accomplish with the rebrand to Prosponsive Logistics?
I'm going to delegate that one to Jay because he took on this initiative, and I'm just going to say it's been great.
Okay,
it has been, and and of course, give credit to Jeff and Russ because 10 years ago they actually trademarked a word that they created, and it was a combination of the words proactive and responsive because that's what they wanted to convey to their customers, is that we're proactive when we need to be, we're responsive when we need to be, and what a great word to trademark. And so,
yes, sir.
We've used it in our tagline for 10 years now. In fact, we just renewed the trademark, so it's 10 years old this year. But so as we began to think about that, we're talking internally about culture, and culture is so important these days. And, culture is made up of your people, right? And how your people feel, and the fact that your people feel valued, they feel included. There's diversity in your employee group, that they see an opportunity and they see growth, right? And they have financial stability. All those things are culture mixed up together. And so when we talk about wanting to reflect our culture to the public, CL Services was a legacy name. C stands for Caudell, L stands for Lance, the two founders of the company. And they built up this wonderful culture and 25 years of great success. And we had our 25th anniversary celebration January the 8th because we were 25 years old, January the 1st of this year. And so we decided to sort of launch this rebrand as a new era. And it basically boils down to, Jory, that we want the public to know who we are and what we do. That's literally what it is. Who we are. We're Prosponsive. We've got a culture of being proactive and responsive, and that is stimulated by our employees who feel valued and included and feel like they've got growth and opportunity. So, it's an accountability thing too, because when we now say we are Prosponsive Logistics and we tell that to the world, our people are accountable to that, right? So the first time they're not proactive in a situation or they're not responsive to our customer or our carrier partners, then they're going to be called out. What are you saying you're Prosponsive? How does a Prosponsive person act this way? So it's who we are, and it's accountability, and the logistics tells the story of what we do. And in our name, CL Services, it doesn't tell the world that we're in the logistics business. And so we felt like it was somewhat necessary to get our name out there from the standpoint of what we do, but most importantly, it was to reflect who we are and our culture, and that's this Prosponsive name that we're now rebranding ourselves under.
Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, well, I appreciate that response. And, even just having a candid conversation with Tim, your marketing fellow, he's a great guy, by the way.
Yes, he is.
Yes, sir. I agree. I think he is. And, I did get that feeling just by hearing the word. It was a very positive response to it. It made me feel like somebody was, getting ready to do something good, the proactive and responsive. I feel those things. So, I think that's a very good word choice. And branding wise, you do want something that's very unique like that. So it seems like you guys were definitely ahead of the curve getting the trademark and everything.
Yes, sir. And that's a tribute to Russ and Jeff. And, all I did was just take that and get a lot of credit for orchestrating something that they developed. So, and another thing we did, Jory, too, is we established a mission statement and core values, and 3 core values, which are integrity, loyalty, and solutions. And that's very important to us, too, because we wanted to convey through those core values that we are a solution provider. We always want to be proactive when it comes to providing solutions to our customers. We're loyal to our customers and our carrier partners. Being the 3PL business, we're a broker, so we're the intermediary. We're between 2 parties, the shipper, who is our customer, but the carrier, who is our partner. And we can't do either one. We can't do what we do without either one. And so it's very important that they understand those core values too, and that we're loyal to both sides, and in trying to be the best we can for our customers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, I appreciate that response. And, let me ask this. I don't know if this would be the first time you've ever been asked this question, but is there any plan for Prosponsive Logistics to become asset-based anytime soon?
I'll defer that to Jeff, because my answer to that would be no, because I'm not an asset guy. I don't know anything about trucking. I'm a financial guy. So, Jeff, you take that question. How about it?
We do run trucks as CL Services Transport. We run a small owner-operator fleet, and we have some trailers, and we have trailers dropped at customers. I think that going forward in the future, the price of equipment just went through the roof also during this time period. So, trailers probably went up, 30%, 40% in value. Used trailers cost as much as a new one almost. So I think that in due time, there are a lot of third-party brokers out there that have trailers. So I think that having trailers accessible for, to put it customers for drop trailer pools, that is a possibility that we might go down that avenue. But I don't think we'll ever own any trucks.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm hearing the ownership of trucks is a little scary these days, especially with the the changing of the regulations regarding the environment. The big push for electric, battery powered vehicles, and so I understand that. But if you're looking for trailers, man, you got to holler at my guy Delmard. He's actually here in the Atlanta area as well, so. I think that you guys will hit it off great. But he's the trailer guy. If there's anybody I ever knew as a trailer guy. So
now, who's he with?
He's his own entity. He started out as an owner operator. Well, I don't want to say he started out. He was a company driver for, I believe, Swift way back when, and then he became an owner operator, and now. He's found his niche in selling trailers. Like he rehabs a lot of trailers, and he just has a huge customer base here in the Southeast. He's just a great guy. He's one of the folks who I've interviewed on this platform before. I'll definitely connect you guys if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, hook us up.
Will do, man. Will do. So we got Prosponsive Logistics here on the stage. This is a rebrand from CL Services, who I met you guys as, and we might have some opportunities of becoming, deeper with your trailer pool. But is there anything else that we should be knowing about your organization? Is there, because, and let me season that question a little bit more. The Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse basically caters to folks that are in this industry. It's comprised of owner operators, fleet owners, brokers, soon to be brokers, dispatchers, and just everybody in between. So is there anything else that you will want people to take away from this conversation when they hear the word, the company name, Prosponsive Logistics?
Well, real quick, I'll go back to the truck thing. We're always looking for and recruiting owner operators. We don't have a high turnover. We take care of our owner operators, but we are looking to grow the owner operator fleet, but that's not our bread and butter of our business. But we do have a lot of freight available for owner operators, for the owner operators that are on this platform and listening. We do just that plug. I'll throw that plug in there that we do have a lot of in-house freight, and with our footprint in the Southeast and all of our offices, we have access to a lot of freight in-house for those owner operators that is driver-friendly freight.
Nice. I mean, because that's a big thing, driver friendly. We don't want folks breaking their back, with these driver assist loads. So no, that's awesome. And I know you guys also have a drayage operation as well. Would that be part of what you are looking for owner operators to assist you guys with?
Yeah. Jay can add on that because he really was part of putting that team. He really put that team together, and our dray operation division is kind of relatively new, but man, they have grown like wildfire.
Yeah, for sure. And, it is a brokerage operation, Jory. So but we always are looking for, drayage partners out of the port areas. And so expanding that every day. And it's amazing how much that has grown in such a short period of time. And as Jeff stated, we had a young gentleman, and again, this goes back to the culture we're trying to create, is that he sees the opportunity to learn that business. And we gave him the opportunity to manage it once he had spent about a year really studying it, trying to figure it out. We made a lot of mistakes in the process, but it's created a tremendous amount of opportunity for us, namely through the backup of the ports and, and all the things that are happening in the supply chain. But, so it's a brokerage operation. We've added to it. Always looking for great partners because we've got a lot of customers who are in desperate need of that. So I would say that.
Yeah, sure.
Another thing I wanted to mention too, Jory, you talked about your Prosponsive. What do we want to know? We're in a geographical expansion phase too, and that's another very important part of our strategy and in creating opportunity. And we have now 7 branches. So we're branching out of Atlanta. When I joined, Jeff and Russ had actually formed a second branch in the North Atlanta location, which was really formed to try to attract people, talent in the northern arc of the city. We're based in the southern arc of the city, and it's where corporately we've been for 25 years. But we're also expanding out, and 5 of those 7 branches right now are organically grown, meaning that they were grown from people within the organization that were growing in their career in brokerage. And so we have we just opened up Kansas City. That was our 7th one. They opened up in January of this year, 2022. And so we're really excited about the opportunity we're creating for people through this expansion. And we're always looking for talent and people that want to join our organization. And we have our 8th branch that's going to open up in May. We can't announce that yet. We've not announced it because this gentleman actually works for a competitor, and we'll wait for him to resign before we'll announce that. But really excited about the geographical expansion too. We're in Denver, Colorado, Kansas City, Jackson, Mississippi, and Athens, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, and then 2 here in Atlanta.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the growth. That's a beautiful thing. And, even with you mentioning the Colorado, does that mean that they have a lot of local customers? Because even as someone who moves a lot of freight, primarily on box trucks and on semis, the Colorado area always kind of, left me a little stumped. I had to, I kind of avoided that. So do you feel like it's a good freight market out there?
Well, we have a very large enterprise customer that we developed out of there. And
Nice.
So it's been wonderful. It's a food, distributor maybe, or manufacturer. So, but yeah, we were actually, because it services, I guess, the West Coast, and it's closer to the West Coast. A couple of months ago from the protest, of the decision that was made against a driver,
Yes, sir.
that you're aware of, right?
Yes, sir.
Certainly put a damper on freight moving through Colorado, but yes, sir, it is. It's been interesting, but it's been good. It's been really good for us.
Oh, good. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that situation. It definitely put a damper on it, just being so, close to the ground and hearing everybody's candid responses about that. I know personally there were so many different fleet owners and dispatch companies that just avoided that area like the plague until, there was something different done. So, I pray things get a little bit better for your customer, but I definitely, it surprised me, what happened. So I'm not surprised that it had the cultural outpour the way that it did.
Indeed. Yes, sir.
I tell you, the office we leased out there in Denver is a sublease of another transportation brokerage company that was out there. And I actually ran into one of those guys, and he said that they struggled at recruiting people out there in Denver. And I looked at him like, wow. Because we have not had any struggle at recruiting people out there. Recruiting people, we're always looking for great talent, as Jay mentioned, but, we have a good pipeline of people to come on board. I mean, I really think that the word of mouth and the culture and the reputation that we have built and has really gotten out on the streets, and that has really aided us a lot in our recruiting of high quality talent to come on board with us.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, yeah, that's awesome to hear. I say this quite frequently, but word of mouth is the purest form of marketing. It means so much for somebody to personally validate and vouch for an organization. And, that's all a business can really ever ask for, is for somebody to not only enjoy the service and the quality that they receive, but also be an advocate to their friends and peers and colleagues. So, that's amazing. That's exactly how my company, Atlanta Dispatch LLC, has gotten every single one of my clients. Has been purely word of mouth, whether it be, my customers, or even just like D. Hey, what's up, D? Like brokers that I use to that I book freight with on a regular basis, is folks that are just willing to speak on your behalf, that it might make things a little bit easier for your organization. So that's awesome to hear.
I think these churn and burn organizations that are recruiting as many people as they can bring in, and then they hang on to them, then they cut half that class, and I think these churn and burn organizations are starting to go to the wayside. I think that people are getting smarter than that, and they're not really willing to go with those types of organizations when it comes to accepting a job. And our goal is not to have that churn and burn. Our goal is to, how long can we keep them? How far can we promote them? Because we want to keep them in the seat. We want to promote them from there and beyond and see them grow.
Yes, sir. I think that's the right way to go about it. And, there was a conversation that was kind of taking place when I had Jeff Silver's son on this platform about the non-compete and just, how it's kind of hindered some of his operations just because a brokerage will, try to contractually lock somebody in versus treating them right, paying them right, promoting them and all that kind of stuff to keep them happy and, satisfied within their own organization. I've heard it and I see it all the time. So I appreciate you even bringing that up. Yes, sir. Well, look, let me ask this. This is a little bit different because I don't know if when your organization first got created, if this was a service that was around, but, just personally, man to man, how do you feel about dispatch services?
Well, I know that is a topic of discussion with the TIA right now. And I think that with the dispatch services that the TIA, this isn't my opinion, that, they're looking for accountability as far as, making sure these drivers get paid, making sure that, when somebody takes a load, that there's some sort of accountability factors in there, if they're taking a load from a broker or from a shipper. But I do think that, for the small owner operator that is trying to make it on his own, that's running, 1-2 trucks, I think the dispatch services are, pretty vital to their existence. And that, those relationships with those owner operators. I don't know how you're handling it. If you're getting involved with the billing and the payable side of it, or if if that owner operator is actually doing the billing, or you're helping him process that paperwork. I think it really depends on how far what the level of accountability is and what the level of participation is for the dispatch service.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, truth be told, I would say that I'm on their side as well, the CIA and what they're talking about. And to me, all right, I'll just speak for my company individually. I don't feel as though I should be touching a motor carrier's money. That should go to them, and I should get my payments from them directly. So if we're talking about a company that is, a dispatch company that is receiving the funds from the shipper / broker and then distributing it out to the motor carrier, that's a little off in my book. That right there sounds like somebody that wants to be a broker. And, if you want to be a broker, go get your authority, pay your $300, get your surety bond, and, get it on and popping. But, a dispatcher in my mind is someone that is catering to that owner operator, that small fleet, or, just has relationships with shippers or freight brokers that, allow them to leverage those relationships to get high paying, consistent, dependable freight. So I think that it's a difference between, the type of dispatch service that might be causing issues and the ones that I kind of frequent and I talk to. We have some very professional organizations, some professional outfits, especially in the Atlanta area, from Metro Max. I'm not sure if you ever heard of them, but they're doing it at a level that you're not going to see it done at their level because they're great. To a Gold Star Logistics and, of course, my company, Atlanta Dispatch LLC. But the whole point, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we need folks like you, to have the buy-in by the brokerages, the folks who have the freight to move, to actually trust that we're going to do our job to make sure that the freight gets moved from A to B, and everybody's happy in the meantime. So that's the reason why I wanted to pose that question to you, you two, because at the end of the day, some folks might make a dispatcher's rep a little interesting, but there are some good folks out here that are working hard to get the job done, just like you.
Well, that goes without saying. For any business, any industry, there's always somebody that's causing some sort of grief, right? And I think that you hit the nail on the head. And I think part of the problem is that some of the dispatch services out there are not acting as a factor, but kind of acting as a factor, where they're receiving the money, like you just said, and then they're not paying the owner-operator, the driver, or they're short paying him, and then that owner-operator is turning around and calling the broker back up and saying, hey, I didn't get all my money.
Right.
And I think that's where the problem lies. I think that when the dispatch service has the broker or shipper pay them instead of paying the owner-operator directly, that's where it gets tangled up. And I think that, if you're running it as a true dispatch service, you're negotiating for that driver. So you're helping him out. You're looking for the freight for him. Because he's on the road. He doesn't have time to be making all these phone calls and doing all this negotiation. And I think that service is really of value to those small owner-operators out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree 100%. And, it feels good to hear someone from, your stature who has been able to create such a successful freight organization, be on that same train. So I guess long story short, holla at me, because I'm trying to get some more Prosponsive logistics freight for my owner operators that are out of the Atlanta area, that are out of the Jersey area, and that are working these drayage areas. So, I just want to just say, I look forward to working with you guys some more. I first started working with you in 2018, and, it looks better and better every day. So appreciate you guys for joining.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Yes, well, look, at the end of the day, it's a pleasure having you guys on. Is there anything that you guys want to say for closing remarks? And while I'm asking that, do you mind if I open the floor to some folks to ask some questions themselves?
Oh, absolutely.
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
So, folks, if you have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand. And while I see D, come on now, come say what's up. Hey, Grace. What's up, Grace? So, look, Grace is down there. She did a write-up on the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse for Freight Waves a little while ago, and I'm just definitely appreciative. She has her own show on Sirius XM, and I can't wait to check that bad boy out, where she's talking about, logistics and whatnot. So we did have one person raise their hand. I'm going to go ahead and bring them to the stage. And boom, boom, boom. Hey, how you doing today, brother? Brother Mark, how you doing? Okay, you're going to have to unmute yourself to ask your question.
Hey, Jory, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can definitely hear you, and I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for having me and allowing me to come on stage so I can ask my question. I've been listening a lot since the meeting started. A little bit of background for myself right now is I was doing local deliveries with vans, and as of last week, I partnered up with a good friend of mine who's a owner-operator running a box truck, and he's been doing it for, like you just said, in this golden age for the last about a year and a half. And I decided to go with them because I'm also interested in seeing how the industry is, especially over the road, and kind of get the hands-on experience about how it is out here. And one of the things that I've come to learn is, and this is a question for Jeff and Jay, because they're on the broker side, so they are the middle, the person to encounter, have that interaction with the customer. And my question is, because like we've mentioned, gas has gone up. One of the things that my partner here has brought to my attention, and even on the load boards when you're looking for freight, is the freight has gone down. The much, and gas has gone up. And just a few days ago, we did a drop to we picked up a freight from a customer, and the distance was 2,000, and we just started chatting with the customer, and we told him, yeah, gas is up right now. We're struggling to get reimbursed good rates, and he said, well, I'm paying 80 cents per mile for this load that you guys are carrying. So, question to Jeff and Jay, how can you help me understand what's kind of going on with the brokerage and the rates being so low, and yet I hear from a customer that they're actually paying to compensate for the gas prices. Yet, as a owner operator, it doesn't trickle down to us because Jory being a dispatcher or him being a dispatcher, I still have to give him my cut, and then I have to pay for gas. And with all those considered, how is it that we're not seeing the rates that we're seeing before, and brokers are not willing to pay yet on the back end? The customers are paying some form of compensation for the gas prices. Thank you.
I can. So about half of our freight is contracted freight that we're moving, and that is moving on regular carriers with regular lanes, regular shippers. The other half of that freight is moving on the spot market, and that spot market rate is exactly what it is. It's a spot market rate, and the customer may give it to us at one rate today, but if that same load moves on Friday, they may give it to us at a different rate because we're having to bid on that freight against other people. And so when the market starts to move, and if you look at DAT and Truck Stop, they put out a report every week or so, and you can see where those spot market rates are falling out there. While a lot of our drivers and carriers that we use, they like to negotiate an all-in rate. But we generally, in that negotiated rate, we're passing fuel back. We're billing our customer based on the per mile rate that we're charging them for the line haul. So generally, when we're negotiating, we're not trying to keep fuel money. The fuel money, we run our own owner operators, so we like to get that fuel money back to the owner operator, and that is not really part of the negotiating factor. But a lot of these dispatchers for these trucking companies like to just negotiate a flat all-in rate. So it really depends on how you negotiate your rate. I always tell people to negotiate the per mile rate, then negotiate the fuel, because the fuel should all come back to you, and it should be the per mile rate. So if I was in your shoes and negotiating with a broker, I would say, what's the fuel on this shipment? And I would say, what is the line haul on this shipment? And have it broke out.
I think that was a great response, Jeff. And Mark, how'd you feel about that? Did they give you some direction, some clarity on how that goes down?
Oh, absolutely, and thank you, Jeff. Especially on the last statement there about when negotiating with the brokers, we can definitely ask for the fill rate and the line haul rate. Um, and for me, it was just trying to get a little bit of information from that back end because, it also could be from, being a very young company because, some of these brokers are really not budging and just trying to understand the market and at least hoping is there going to be a turnaround? Are they going to be able to pay a little bit more? Because even to pay for $2 a mile right now is become really hard. And I'm seeing this firsthand as a new person who's starting up, like you were saying, Jory, with even just two trucks, how it can be very difficult in this market to make your margins. But yeah, definitely some good answers there, and I appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to help.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, again, great question, Mark. And if there are any other questions, please raise your hand now because, we do want to respect these gentlemen's time. And in the meantime, I just want to say thank you. Jeff, Jay, this has been a long time coming, being able to talk to Tim for like the last 2 months about getting you guys on this platform. But I think it was perfect to be able to highlight Prosponsive logistics and the things that you guys have going on. I'm just extremely elated to be able to do this. So thank you for taking my invite. Well, as of right now, somebody else just joined the stage. It's definitely a friend to the stage. D, how you doing now? D, you gotta unmute yourself, man.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Great.
Thank you.
Good. I have a question about your company name, Prosponsive. You said it's a mix of proactive and responsiveness. How do you ensure that your staff actually embody that meaning? How is there a training that you send them through? How do you make sure that they're actually doing what the name of the company says?
Well, I'll take that question, Dee. Thank you. That's an excellent question. And
yes, it is.
for sure. And, so we have an extensive training program. And again, it goes back to our belief about culture, right? If you want to say you have a great culture, then your employees, again, have to feel valued. They have to feel like they're trained and equipped to do the job. They have to see opportunity and growth. And so part of this rebrand, as I mentioned before, was an accountability. Because we teach that in our training and everything we do when we train our employees. And by the way, we bring every employee we hire, no matter the position, to Atlanta for a week-long training with our corporate trainers. We also entertain them. We introduce them to what we call the people operations team, which is the culture team, the support team, because support is so important. And we want them to make sure they feel very a part of the company. But we teach these values to them. But in the end, if they're not embodying that, as you say, then our customers and our carrier partners are going to call them out for it. And that's why, to me, this rebrand is so important, is because if we say we're prosponsive and we're not prosponsive, the market is going to take care of that. You can teach people all day long, but the best teacher is life experience, right? And so the minute that they're not prosponsive to a customer, for example, they avoid a confrontation because there's been, say, a wreck on a load and they don't want to hear the customer get upset with them. So they just decide not to give them that information until it's, too late or something of that nature. Then the customer's going to call them out on it and they're going to be accountable to it. And so accountability is the best training source, from my perspective. But we do have an extensive training program where we teach not only those values, but the skills they need to do their job well. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, D, great question. Thank you so much for that response, Jay. And I agree, man. Going through the process of hiring employees myself and training them from the ground up, it feels good knowing when that you've equipped them to do exactly what they need to do. And, that can definitely play a huge part on how they feel about the culture of the company. Do they feel supported? Do they feel like they know how to get their job done, or are they stressed all the time? So I think that's a great question.
It was an excellent question.
Yes, sir. So the first person I ever worked with at your organization way back in the day was Torian Short. So shout out to that brother.
Love Torian.
Good old T.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. And then shout out to Brian, because meeting Brian Boston at the Atlanta Logistics Connection and having a conversation with him about, this here platform, the Transportation and Logistics Clubhouse, he showed interest that you guys might be interested in doing it. And that's how we got here. So again, also shout out to Tim for allowing, for doing all the corresponding back and forth. But yeah, fellas, were there any closing remarks that you guys wanted to make?
The only one I have is we're very appreciative, Jory, of this platform. Thank you. It was our pleasure to do this. And, we're very appreciative.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I'm figuring this platform out as we have gone along here. And had I known how to completely use this platform, I could have invited more people into this room. I have a lot of transportation contacts on here that I did not realize were on here on this platform.
Yes, sir.
So there must be a lot more going on this platform than I ever knew about. So there was a buzz going around, but I didn't hear the buzz until just now. So I'll be back on the platform again.
Well, yes, sir. Look, if you guys would like, we can definitely do a follow-up in 6 months to see how, the culture is taking off and, the growth that you guys, to see if you guys got more than your 8th office, if you're on your 10th office by then.
All right, that sounds good.
Well, that might be good timing because, there's also the buzz out there about the economy, about the tank, right? So,
yes, sir.
So, in 6 months, 6 or 8 months, we'll know kind of what direction this economy is going, maybe.
Definitely. So, I'm excited. I just have to wish and prepare for the best, and also at the same time for the worst, just because this is my gig now. Transportation, I'm here to stay. So I'm definitely at the whim of the industry as of now. But yeah,
that's great.
Yes, sir.
This has been fun.
Yeah, appreciate you. So thank you guys, and everybody who's listening might even hear this after the fact. Thank you for the support always. Next week, we have a very exciting guest. They're a brand new brokerage, so we have a very tenured brokerage right now. But next week, we are going to be speaking with leadership team from Freightbana. I'm excited to hear what they have to say about starting a newer organization in this day and age. So tune in with us next Wednesday for that. And as always, on Mondays at 7:30 a.m., as we partner up with FreightWaves, their Sonar team right here to talk about the hot lanes, where to send your trucks, and where not to send your trucks. So I'll definitely see you guys on Monday at 7:30. And again, fellas, thank you for your time, yo.
Send me a link to the other one, that next show.
Okay, which one? The Freightbana or the
Freightbana? Yeah.
Okay, will do, sir. Will do.
I'll jump on there and listen on that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen. Y'all go get something to eat now.
All right.
Thank you,
and good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.